Hi guys, and welcome. We are live for the first time in 2 weeks.
We,
I was so fed up and tired last week that I decided not to
I
do
think
a
we
call.
both
Hi
were.
Donald, how you doing, mate? Good to see you got in 1 minute before you went live this time. You getting better, mate? He's here before we are now.
Uh,
So, how are things, Tim?
yeah, like the last couple of weeks have been. We'll talk about it a little bit more later, but like it's. I'll get the sweary words in now. It's been a shit show. The last couple of weeks, and like you, I felt last week it was kind of like I don't really have anything to say because it's just a bit of a mess. And social media has been particularly toxic of late for all the right and for the wrong reasons. And it's sometimes it's been good just to kind of like take a step back and think about what we should and shouldn't be saying, and what our values and opinions, and reevaluate all those kind of things. And
Yeah.
yeah, I think it's been a good time to take a bit of a breather um, before you do something stupid. So no, so I was some of the news, some of the things that have come out recently. I don't know if you have followed the CrossFit thing.
Yeah.
So the guy that founded CrossFit put up a tweet, and whether it was truly misinterpreted, and I'm not quite sure whether that was his real beliefs or values or whatever it was. But one thing which kind of was highlighted for me is I was chatting to somebody on another group about the affiliates for CrossFit. So what they call their affiliates are the people who run the boxes. So like the individual gyms who pay
Three
a
thousand $600 a year or something.
oh, no, it's more than that. It's a month. It's
Is it?
it's like $3,000 a month or something, I think, isn't it? So I'm not sure. Anyway, basically, they pay a shed load of money to CrossFit every month or every year to be able to use the CrossFit name. And when they first started CrossFit, one of the great things with it was that the guy that founded it had a great community, and he had regular communication with the boxes, and he was part of that community. But as the business has become more and more corporate over the years, and obviously with the introduction of Reebok and like the CrossFit Games and all that kind of stuff, he's been pulled away to a certain degree from the community. And it's interesting that a lot of the affiliates, the reasons why that they are cancelling their subscription to CrossFit and no longer using the CrossFit name, is because they felt like they've been abandoned, like they've just been ignored, and like the only thing that they were getting is basically license to use the CrossFit name. And I saw one particular affiliate basically turn around and go, the only thing that I can say that CrossFit are doing really, really well is they have a fantastic legal team to protect their name. That's the only thing a good thing that they could actually say about them, which tells you a huge amount. And it's like it's why community and your community and like the relationship that you have with your audience and your email list, your social media following, that audience, if you neglect it, when stuff happens, you do get misinterpreted, you get misunderstood, and you'll get hung, drawn, and quartered very, very quickly for it. And it's one of the things that I think that I've been quite glad of. And I was talking to somebody else a couple of days ago about they were asking me how business was, during this time, and I said, actually, it's not really changed much. If anything, we've seen an increase in sales, which has been great. And he was like, "What do you put that down to?" And I was like, "Because I've always been in contact with our customers. People feel like they can approach us and say, 'Oh, I need to cancel a subscription for a couple of months because I don't know whether I've got a job or not.' That's cool by us." And it's like, but because people have felt almost like that because they feel part of the community, they're almost asking for permission to cancel their subscription, rather, because they feel bad because of the community that we built up with them. And I say a company like CrossFit, you can very quickly lose that community spirit and like the backing of your community if you ignore them. And I think that the whole, like, being better at engaging with your community will pay dividends for years and years and years, and don't ever neglect it.
Definitely, 100%. It was actually been really interesting, a couple of things you said there. Firstly, hi David, hi Don, we've already done that one. Hi Morris. People seem to lose their heads a little bit, and I saw a so-called a video of an influencer stood on the sidewalk by one of the Black Lives Matter marches with a sign, Black Lives Matter. And as the march got close to her, she jumped into the middle of it. Her friend took a picture of it with a sign, right? She posed, and then she went off again. I mean, I honestly don't understand influencers, mate. They just do my head in.
But the whole thing with that is that it just shows that it's a fake facade. It's very shallow. It's a shallow communication rather than actually having a deep relationship with your audience. And I know Mark and I have talked about this to death over the years about building that community and that audience and that relationship with that audience. It means that people like, the people who come onto the call every week actually turn up every week. It's because we have built that community, and they feel like they're part of the community. When you just have this shallow sort of facade of which is not actually real, it's basically the makeup and like the sign and the fake photograph and all that kind of stuff. People see through it, and it has no long-term benefit.
Right, so anyway, this week we've got a few little things to talk about. It's going to be a more generalized session, but towards the end, what I'm going to do, I'm going to jump into my ads account and show you an ad I've been running for the last few days. Hi, Simon. Glad you sorted your sound out. So what I want to do is I started running this ad, and I'll show it to you later. And it actually shocked me at how well it performed. So it's worth sometimes just taking your ads and turning them upside down and trying something new. Anyway, let's start on Facebook, right? Oh my God. Right. So Facebook cannot be normal at the moment. There is something seriously going wrong with it.
I don't know whether I have a couple of different opinions on this, and I don't know whether they match up with Mark's, but one, I've heard that there's a bit of a glitch with Facebook at the moment. And the other one, which I think is more apparent, is social media at the moment is a fairly toxic environment. If you look through your feed, there's a lot of anger. There's a lot of people sort of, with negativity. And when you are trying to sell something, when you're trying to encourage people to click through to something, it doesn't really fit very well. And I think that's possibly a lot of the reason why I've had 2-3 people contact me in the last 2 days, ask me what the hell's going on with Facebook. So we're not alone. Mark's not alone. I'm not alone. Obviously, Mark's got some other issues with Facebook that are just.
Well, firstly, one of our members, Daniel, who's a very successful marketer, I posted about some of the problems I was having with Facebook, and he said they cancelled my account yesterday for no reason. And then when I went back to them and said they had no reason why they cancelled it. It's just crazy. So the other day I launched 2 ads, right? Launched the first one. About 5 minutes later, launched the second one. Within, in fact, 4 hours, the first one got approved. Then the second one got rejected for saying that the landing page didn't exist. Now, the first ad went to the same landing page, right? So there's nothing I can do. I mean, you can't appeal something that's unappealable because it's working. So I recreate the ad again, put it up there. Once again, same thing. And I have got no idea why. So they then cancelled it and said, again, the third time, they cancelled it and went, this is a job opportunity. No, it's not. It's a free training course. Right. So there was one I could finally appeal. So I appealed that and it got approved. 5 minutes later, the first ad that went live 6 hours before was rejected. They already spent half the budget and then they rejected it. It's like, and I appealed that one and got that one back as well. But literally, I wasted a whole day trying to get 2 ads up and running, right? In between a couple of them turning me down a couple of times, I went to YouTube, right? And I haven't done a YouTube ad for a couple of years. And I set up a YouTube ad in 10 minutes, and an hour later, it was running. Right, no problems, running away nice and smoothly. So I've got to be my bonnet about Facebook. So I've actually made a list for today's show of things that's pissed me off in the last 24 hours about Facebook. There's only 8 things on it. Right. First, they keep changing the ads interface. Right.
Well,
I went in on Tuesday and it was different to when I went in 2 weeks ago. Right. I went in on Wednesday and it was different to when I went in on Tuesday. All the reports tabs had disappeared and changed. So that's another one. Rejecting ads just for no apparent reason whatsoever. Cancelling accounts, no apparent reason whatsoever. Seemingly, a lot of people have lost their accounts recently for no apparent reason whatsoever. In fact, I think Kurt Malley, right, one of the top Facebook marketers, runs billions of pounds of, actually, probably is getting towards billions of dollars of ads. Does presidential ads for presidential candidates. Lost 3 of his Facebook accounts, no reason given. So luckily he's got a rep who got it turned back on again. But running ads, I got a comment on an ad. Have you ever tried to find the comment on the ad that you are running? It is the most difficult thing in the world, right? Hi, Layla. So that's another one. Let's do it. Reports columns, right? So you can go to your reports, you've got a column set up. No, next time you go in, they've disappeared again. They show the wrong stats. So I'm running an advert at the moment, and it's showing something like 75 clicks, right? Which is great, loving that, 75 clicks. No, it's not. It's not 75. It's 37 link clicks, right? But to see that figure, you have to go in and try and find it. So they show that click, the first set of clicks can be absolutely anything. Anybody clicking anywhere around the post or whatever, that's a click. They click that they like it, that's a click. We're only interested, if you're sending traffic off of Facebook, you're only interested in the click off of Facebook. Yet you have to go into the stats and dig it out and find it. It's incredible. They're absolutely terrible at the moment.
So to counter the the negativity to a certain degree, you kind of have to feel for Facebook, because they're trying to cater for 2 very different types of people who are wanting to advertise. There are the sort of institutional, sort of big brands who are trying to advertise or want to advertise on Facebook, and they spend a shed ton of money, and they really just don't care about conversions. They don't need to see all that stuff. Then there's the direct response marketers like Mark and I, who are trying to dig out accurate data, but at the same time trying to account for every penny. And then there's the absolute beginner who is, so there's 3 different types, sorry. There's the absolute beginner who's never run a Facebook ad in their life. And I was dealing with, there's a couple who live down the road who I've talked about it before, they run a restaurant and a hotel in the valley, and they wanted to restart their ads again because the lockdown's probably going to get lifted in Scotland in the next few weeks, and they want to start advertising, getting people booked in and all this kind of thing. And trying to explain to them and trying to make it simple for people who are not necessarily tech savvy. Obviously, I've been using Facebook ads since the year dot. Honestly, I've gone through all the different changes with Facebook, and even now I look at it and I'm going, I have no idea which lever to pull, which button to press, where the gotchas are. It's an absolute shit show. As I said at the beginning, it's an absolute mess. And it's
they make it so that anybody who goes in create an ad usually ends up running, unless they really know what they're doing, end up running ads to everyone from 18 to 99, right? Where that's no one's target market. No one's target market is that broad, okay? So, but that's and then they end up running ads everywhere. the audience network and stuff like that, where really you should probably just be doing the feed, the main, depending on what type of ad, the main feed or Instagram feeds. Now, all the other stuff doesn't matter. It just doesn't convert. But they just, no, look at this. We're going to show your ad everywhere. It's appalling. It really is appalling. Compare that to the ads I set up on YouTube. It's showing exactly where I want it and to who I want it at the moment. So I'm praying, because what I'm doing, I will show this campaign in a minute. I'm praying that YouTube ads starts to work really well, because it's costing me 7 cents to get people from YouTube all the way through to the site. Okay, so that's good. We can work with there's a lot of leverage to work on.
Yeah.
Just got to get them converting. Because Facebook is doing my head in. But having said that, I discovered something this week. I'm just going to show you this little campaign that I set up to run the other day. I hope you can see it. All right, so there's two ads here. They go to exactly the same page. Let me just fire this up. Right, just scroll that across. All right, the first one is a story ad. It's a long form, literally a story, start to finish, with a couple of links going out to a landing page. And the other one,
story ad, is that like a basically a long description and image? Is that it?
Yeah, it's an image, and it's literally a story about how I got started in affiliate marketing.
Okay.
And then we've got the video ad, which is just a description of a video showing the actual method that we use. Okay. Now everyone says, video ads are the cheapest way, and they are. I said it myself. They're absolutely brilliant they're brilliant for separating cold traffic into warm traffic. Okay, because if somebody watches your video, they're likely interested. But for driving traffic to a page, they suck. So let's have a look at this. I'm shocked at how cheap the story ad is at the moment. So you can see here, almost 4% click-through rate on the story ad, 1.25 on the video ad. Okay, it's cost me 39 cents per link click for the story ad, and a through play, which is 15 seconds on Facebook. People watching 15 seconds of the video, it's cost me 7 cents, but that doesn't really matter. It's a bit of another one of the bumps to stats they're giving us at the moment. See the frequency here, 111 clicks it's showing for that story ad. Okay, everyone would think, great. Then we've got it's showing 2 leads. Ignore that. That's not working properly yet, because the landing page is crap. 40 post engagements, not really. This is it. Cost per click, 13 cents there for all the clicks, 29 cents for the video ad. That's the figure. 34 unique link clicks. This is the stat one of the stats the first stat that matters. People going from Facebook, off of Facebook to landing page. So we've got 34 people through there for, how much is it so far? Where are we?
£14.
14 euros. So let's call it $18. Okay, we've got 34 people. I'm happy. I'd pay that all day long to get 34 people across, because we've got my conversion rate. I've set it up for. If I get a 0.5% conversion rate across the whole funnel, I've doubled my money. Okay, so at some point I should be able to get this up to run it. I hope about a 2% conversion rate, but 0.5% will break even on this funnel. That's another point there. Know your stats, know your figures, know how much you need to convert to make money on your campaigns. And you can see here just the actual link click, which is what I'm interested in, 1.29%, which is pretty good.
Yeah.
So, and a unique click-through rate, 4% on a Facebook ad. Pretty amazing. So the point is, test different types of ads. Okay, I noticed Anders was in there. If you're running ads on Facebook, Anders, do a story about your furniture, right? You will get people interested in it, and you'll get higher click-through rate, much cheaper ads. So this is the only day 2 of the test, so we've got a long way to go.
I don't know whether Anders does this already, because he's in the mid-century furniture like world. Basically, if it was me,
internet there in his
they
world.
had internet in the mid-century. It's each week doing a quick live and going with your phone on your Facebook page, and basically go around and go, this is what's coming this week. Got one of those, and I've got one of those, and I've got one of those, and one of those, and go around the showroom.
Seen the size of his sons. There's no way he can use a bloody mobile phone.
But then it's like, once you've done the live, then you just spend, $5-10 a day promoting that, and getting it out to your target audience. Those sort of like really sort of like guerrilla marketing sort of things work super well, and because they're different to what everybody else is doing as far as trying to sell stuff on the web, on the old Facebook. Everybody's trying to do kind of like fancy pants, kind of like, whether it's video ads, with, showing the benefits and like, the uses of, and all this kind of stuff, and driving people to a product landing page, and, trying to get them to opt in, or trying to get them to buy 15 tubs of this weird powder that they don't know whether it's going to work for them or not. Everybody's seen those. Whereas if you're doing something like, a guerrilla marketing tactic, I think that's a great way of doing it. And so the thing is there's no reason why you can't do that sort of stuff for Facebook for like anything that we do, any business that you've got, even if it's an info marketing product. And it's like, you could, Mark could record a video and go, this is the new course I've been working on this week. I just want to quickly show you some of the things I've been working through, not showing them the course, but going, this is the kind of thing we're talking about. And then you promote that. And it's kind of like,
this is so, but at the moment I'm promoting the 5K method. I can simply just, if I was doing another video to add into the end of it, which I will be doing pretty soon actually. Just show it. It's the thing is, the people who turn up and watch those videos week after week after week are people who want to, especially in Nanda's case, they're people who actually want to buy his stuff.
Yeah.
So they will go, they'll literally put it in their diaries to check his feed every Friday to see what new stuff's come in, so they can get it before anyone else. So they get the feeling that they're one step ahead. And
I say, you can double down on that one asset by basically going, okay, so I've done this video as a Facebook Live on a Friday. I then send an email out to my email list of previous customers going, this is the new stuff that's coming. I've just done a video. It's on Facebook. You can also do an advert retargeting the existing customers out, and you can also retarget people who've previously visited your website but not gone ahead and bought something. And those are the different audiences that you fire that one asset at. And it's like it's a great, it's a simple guerrilla marketing. So you just need that one central piece of content to actually promote. And you're not ramming it down people's throats. It's like, come today and get 25% off this mid-century piece of whatever. It's not like that. You're just going, well, this is what's in the showroom today. Thanks very much, guys. It's just rocked up this morning, just taking it off the lorry, and it's here. I've just got to clean it up a little bit, and like it'll be ready to go out. Give us a call if you're interested. And that's it. It's not like a hard sale like you see so many of these ads doing, trying to like stack the offer and build the offer and all this kind of stuff. It's like, you don't need to do that most of the time, because ultimately you should be selling to people who've already shown a vague amount of interest in your stuff previously.
The thing is, this whole thing about you shouldn't be selling anyway. People, you don't have to sell. Did anybody notice the last two emails I sent that actually had links to products in them, but not one of those products was actually, in none of the emails I was selling that product. No. I was talking about basically the systems we use. Okay, so we use this system, and I was talking about the system, and this is a system that we use in blah blah blah, and talk about the results it gets and what it does, that type of thing. You don't have to then go, hey, buy my stuff, buy my stuff, buy my stuff. It's awesome, it's awesome, because what people who are interested will naturally click through. It's now a natural thing to do. Oh, I'm interested in that. I will click through. Okay, having to be forced.
One of the things I find the most difficult coming from a direct response world is trying to tone back a lot of the sort of the natural salesman in me. Yeah, there's lots of that. Tega says valued at £10,000, but you can get it today for £99. Yay! No, there's that's
actually gone the opposite way. Last week this product was £37. Now you can buy it for £197. You should have been quicker.
Oh dear. There's another comment there from Donald about CBO always resets to yes by default on like your Facebook campaigns. I'm actually getting some decent results with the other version. So Facebook have been telling us for ages that they're going to force us all to do CBO, and then they gave in and said we're actually not going to do that anymore. I'm actually using ad set budgets on a lot of the retargeting campaigns I'm setting up. So generally because the retargeting campaigns, because there's not a massive audience there, it's harder for CBO to really optimize for it. So if you can use ad set budget optimization, so set the budget at the ad set level, generally on the retargeting works a little bit better. One of the things I said to Mark just before we came online, when he showed me his ads, it's like the thing that I'm doing a lot for cold audiences is I'm doing a conversion optimization, but the conversion is a view content. It's not a add to cart or a purchase. It's way back. It's basically going optimized for people who are going to click through the ad to my landing page. So once they see my landing page, I've got and that's the cold audience has been optimized. The cold audience campaigns have been optimized for that, and then my retargeting campaigns are ad set budget optimized. And what I'm doing with that is I go, okay, anybody who's visited between 0 and 30 days and 30 and 180 days, those kind of ad sets, and just showing the same ad to them again to get them to come back. And yeah, I've been doing some things like testimonial ads and things like that as well. But to be honest with you, the ad that they saw the first time on the cold campaign, I'm showing it to them on the retargeting campaign, and the retargeting campaign is converting them, but not the cold campaign. So it just shows you that whole
That's interesting. So how many days do you leave it?
What do you mean? How many days do I leave it?
So the difference between them seeing the first ad, to seeing the retargeting ad.
It could be the same day.
Okay, so you don't say anybody who watched in the last 7 to 14 days. No,
it's basically because to make the audiences big enough, I've gone anybody who's seen my landing page in the last 0 to 30 days ago. That's one ad set, and then I do 31 to 180 days as a kind of like a catch-all. So, wow. That's the only thing I can say to that. Hold on, I'm just going to do the math while you read that.
Well done, Donald. So if anybody doesn't know what that is, we did a show about 9 weeks ago, pretty longer actually, where Tim went through one of his strategies, and this is the result because Donald's running through it. Excellent. 4
cents a page like.
Well, you got your calculator out pretty quick, didn't you?
Yeah. 3.7 cents per page like, if you want to be more accurate. That is insane. I struggle. I'm still running mine. I'm running them at around about 25 to 30 pence. So UK pence. That's way more expensive than dollars. Pence per like. 4. Jesus. Only use the page header as the ad graphic. That is incredible.
Hey, brilliant, mate.
That's the ultimate in laziness. But kudos to you, dude.
Yeah. So to me, that's great. I mean, if you're selling a $12 product or a $10 product, yeah, that it's not difficult to make a profit from 3,160 odd people. Was it 3,170 people?
So the thing that you've got to do now is like, okay, well, how do I convert those people on? And it's like, a lot of the time you'll get organically you'll get a certain amount of people who continue to read the page posts on your page, but you've got to move them on to the next level. So if you spent 120 bucks, which is not very much, if you're selling, say, as Mark says, if you're selling a $10 product, you only need 12 people out of 3,170 to actually buy to get your money.
Or just need to sell one copy of a big income small list, the 5K method, or get 4 people through the door into SMO. You're doing really well, mate. You'll be retiring on that.
So for all the bitching and moaning about Facebook, people can still get great results with them, and you can get great results with it. It's just that, like, I think the reason for the whinging and moaning,
it's time and effort versus great results.
Yes. Yeah.
Honestly, if I can get this stuff working on YouTube, there is no way I'm running anything on. I would honestly happily delete my Facebook account.
When Mark said
using for this, I can't.
So Mark said to me yesterday about our member Daniel, who's had his account banned. He told me that yesterday, and I was like, to be honest with you, if Facebook banned my account tomorrow, I would not cry. I would not miss it. I wouldn't care. And it's one of the things that it'll probably free up a massive amount of headspace and make me explore different avenues of getting new customers in.
Yeah, I shouldn't have to spend a whole day getting ads running on Facebook, right? Okay, what in time-wise it wasn't a whole day, but it was constantly interrupting, doing appeals, writing to them, checking, see if it started and stuff like that. A whole day just to run a $7 a day ad. Screw that.
To be honest with you, it's one of the reasons why I now have an agency. Actually, is a friend of our community who runs my Google ads. And I was sat on, I can't remember which day, I think it was Monday this week. And I was like, I actually feel like I've got very little to do. So I'm just going to get out on my bike. And it's like, and I realized it's because I've freed up a huge amount of headspace by not having to worry about the Google ads stuff, because I can rely on Alex to, double down on like Google ads stuff. So, I wish that you could rely on somebody to do that for Facebook ads.
What I'm actually doing something slightly, once again, turning things on its head. I'm speaking to a couple of agencies. I'm going to be speaking to a couple of agencies, and I'm going to do a proposal to them rather than them do a proposal to me. I'm going to propose that they jump on a call with me once a week for up to half an hour, right? They look at what I've done and they tell me what to do next. And then when those campaigns are profitable, then I'll hand it over to them. You can only ask, can't you?
You can only ask. So whether they do that.
I thought the getting a $500 a month agency in to run my ads on a $7 a day budget is probably not very cost effective.
Yeah.
But then when I get to $100 a day, then it is cost effective.
Yeah, and it's the way I look at like the Google ads stuff with Alex tonight. Obviously I have to add on his fees each month to my spreadsheet of how much I've spent on advertising that particular month, because his fees are part of that. And yeah, I have to factor that in with the cost per acquisition and the return on ad spend that I'm getting. So you have to consider that. And because we're spending, last month I think we spent something crazy like £7,000 on ads across Facebook and Google, and you're going, Jesus, yeah, okay, it's like, the cost of actually hiring somebody to do some of this for me is just is a smaller percentage rather than the majority spend, the majority cost. And that's the way I look at it. But yeah, it has to make sense, because there's no point hiring them otherwise. So yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it's interesting. You also offset the cost of how much is an expert saving you from if you were doing it yourself and you were spending 10,000 pounds to get the same results as he's getting with £7,000, then yeah, it's well worth getting that agency in. There's a lot of things you've got to balance and think about. So we shall see what happens. I forgot to tell you, yesterday was my first day out of the house since March the 16th. I went out and emptied my office up. So I've got boxes of crap all around the room now. So I'm going to set an office up here for the next few months and see how that goes, because I'm not going out if I can avoid it. Oh, and the other annoying, how's this for an annoying thing? So you will remember that my iMac broke about the first week into lockdown. So I've been working on this MacBook Air that I'm on at the moment. I found a local guy that fixes Macs, right? So I went down there yesterday, dumped it on the table outside his shop, stepped back. He then walked out of the shop, sprayed it all up, and then took it inside.
Sprayed it?
Oh, yeah. He disinfected it, then he took it inside. And I said to him, yeah, it broke in the first week of lockdown. He said, well, why don't you come to me sooner? I went, why? He said, oh, we're classed as a necessary...
oh, wow. Yeah.
An essential service. So I've been open all the time, but no one's come down. I've been sat in the office on my own, and no one's come.
So I appreciate we've got some, I don't know how many people we've got on live at the moment, but if you've got any particular questions about any Facebook ad stuff or Google ad stuff that you want us to pick our brains about, we may not be able to answer your complicated question, but yeah, just fire your questions in the chat box.
So Donald says, was procrastinating on writing articles over the last week or two, so outsourcing them today. It's taken me a while to get myself to outsource, but it's well worth it. Yeah. Hey, Tega, are you still there at the moment? If you're still there, give me a shout and I'll send you a link. You can jump on a call. We've got Tega on the call, who might still be on the call. He might be just hiding, drinking his Ribena in the corner or something.
The Ribena.
This man, we've done a live show with him before. He is expert at outsourcing. If you ever want to outsource stuff, he's the man to talk to, because that's what he does. He outsources everything. So it could be quite interesting to get a little thing there. Yeah, Donald. Hang on. Right.
Sorry, you sort out Tega. I'll answer.
I sort out Tega, and you sort out.
No. I think you're right. The whole procrastinating on articles is like we all do it, and it's like I eventually I outsourced it to somebody who was sat in my office writing articles. Sorry, I've got somebody make some little shit outside making noise, as you do. We outsourced it to somebody, and then we actually hired that person full time because they were actually so good at it. So you know, but yeah, sometimes it's a good idea to outsource some of those things that you basically feel like you're procrastinating on. I am going to go and smack whoever the kid is over the head with something really, really big and heavy.
You'll have to do that, mate. Tega, I'll send it to Skype for you, mate.
So, Guy,
what I was saying beforehand was actually getting people to do writing is actually quite easy. There's some really good agencies at the moment. Text brokers used to be crap. They're really good now.
Tega!
How
you doing, Jack?
No Ribena today. It's just water.
Oh, just water.
Unfortunately.
You're looking fit, man.
Mate? What's that?
Are you cold?
You're looking fit.
I'm looking fit. Yeah, I've been hitting the gym. Like lockdown has been double down time for me. Working out Monday, Wednesday, Friday after the first 2 weeks of what I class as hell week because I wasn't doing anything.
So if you don't know, Tega's as fit as a fiddle, and that's, you know, he's got zero body fat on him, which is why
that's not true. That's not true.
That's
not true.
Tega's racked, man.
My shoulders are fine. My abs, not so much. Like my shoulders. If you saw me
leg day.
I also don't forget leg day. If you saw me without my hoodie and you saw my chest, you'd be like, "Ooh, that guy's stuck." And if you saw my abs, you'd be like, "That guy likes cake."
Man after my own heart. I love a bit of cake.
Right. So the reason I hijacked Tega is, as far as I'm concerned, the number one guy that we know, and probably a number one guy anywhere for actually hiring staff.
You flatter me, sir.
work. I have failed miserably with staff for the last 6 or 7 years. So if you're in the pro group, it might also be another group. No, I think it's just the pro group. He's got a brilliant set of 3 articles on hiring staff. They're really, really good, really useful. So come on, gives you on the spot, gives you top 5 tips for hiring staff.
Right off the top of my head, treat them like you'd want to be treated. Stop trying to look for unicorns. A unicorn is someone that can do everything you can do in your business, whereas it took you 5 years to do that, but you're trying to find someone in 1 week. Tip number 3, treat them well and they will treat you better. Tip number 4, delegate everything, right? And the last tip is, while delegating everything, have them come up with systems for you. Obviously, you need to train them on how you want your systems or your SOPs to be developed. If you train them in that, you can then hand it off. That way they're doing the job and then they're creating the SOPs and you don't need to worry about anything. Unless you're me and you have a team and you have to start worrying about how to find more business because you're so bored. Because when you wake up on Monday, everything is done and you're like, what do I do now for the rest of the week?
Yeah, that's a good way to be. So if somebody said to you now, okay, Tega, no, I'm an online marketer. I do a bit of, I've got some courses, I've got some affiliate marketing. I try to do social media, but it gets on my tits. Who should I hire first? Basically, I just described myself, by the way.
Okay, now because I know it's you, that's kind of going to taint my answer. I know that.
Tell it with someone else then.
Okay.
What would you outsource first? That's the question more than anything else.
Yeah.
What tasks would you outsource? Because ultimately, everybody's different. So what are the things that we should be looking at to outsource first?
For me, the first stuff I got off my plate was the stuff that, even though I could do it, it was taking me too long to do it. Right? I figured that it was better for me to spend my time working on stuff that provided bigger shifts in what I was trying to do than figuring out the minutiae of something. So a good example for this for me was he says, but still kind of is the podcast management side of things. I accidentally stumbled into that. The story for that is real funny. I accidentally stumbled into that because I have this problem of saying no. So someone said to me, it's like, oh, I need help with my podcast. I'm like, oh, I can do that for you. You didn't even have to ask. So in doing that, I did the first couple of episodes. I'm like, oh God, this takes too long. What can be a minimum viable action that needs to be taken here that's going to get it? Thinking about like the Pareto principle is like, what 20% can I do that's going to produce an 80% result, which is going to be good enough for anybody? And then if I want to be selective and be finicky, I can actually tweak what they're doing to increase the level of the output. And I figured out that I could train someone to edit the podcasts. And that was the first thing I did. So I trained my VA at the time to edit the podcasts. So he took that over. He started editing it. Naturally, there was like a window of time where he didn't really know what he was doing. If you're prepared for that, it's not such a shock, and you're not going to fall back on that immediate response, which a lot of people tend to have of, oh, you're not doing it right, let me do it myself. But if you accept the fact that he is going to make mistakes, if you accept the fact that whoever it is going to make mistakes, and your job is not to roll your sleeves up and fix the mistakes, but to help them fix the mistakes so that they learn how to fix the mistake, then they're less likely to make that mistake again. So it took about 2.5 weeks. Yeah, it took about 2.5 weeks to get him editing the podcast to what I felt at the time was a good enough level. And in those 2.5 weeks, that allowed me to then look at everything I was doing and figure out, you know what, I don't really want to do the show notes either. So what can I do to make the show notes production easy? Fortunately or unfortunately, however you want to look at it, I had another member of the team that was sitting there doing nothing. So I said to her, you're not going to do show notes. Here's the template that you follow. How you do it is you listen to the show, you pluck out the interesting bits from the show, and then you do basic research to find out about the guest. And that's what you write as the intro. And to this day, that's the process that we use. I figured out the other day that someone who I put this system in their business for their podcast, because I have access to their podcast host, I logged in the other day, and that person has over 100,000 downloads.
Wow.
Mr. Modest there doesn't say that first podcast he started to edit was one of the biggest online marketing podcasts.
No, they were actually the second, right? They were the second.
Okay.
They were kind of the catalyst that got me thinking bigger about the whole podcast thing. It's funny, my brain seems to work that way. Whenever I look at things, I tend to have this narrow view, and then somebody taps me on the shoulder, like, "Hey, look here," and them tapping me on the shoulder, that expands the view. And I'm actually going through this process right now with the outsourcing thing, after someone stole my work and started charging people for it. That's again another story for another day, right? But the point is, I start with a narrow view and then expand as I do more, as I get comfortable in what I'm doing. So the guys that you're talking about, Matt Wolf and Joe Fear of the Hustle and Flowchart podcast, what working on their podcast allowed me to do was to figure out a lot of the systems that need to happen on the backside of things, right? And I've been working with them for must have been maybe 6 to 9 months. And I was listening to one of the episodes, because I tend to do that just to review the work that the team are doing. So I was listening to one of the episodes, and I heard them say, "Oh, we have such a good podcast editor or such a good podcast support guy that all we do right now is we record the podcast show, and as if by magic, the podcast just happens." And that kind of became like my USP for a little bit.
That's cool.
It's a good way of looking at it. It's like you said systems about 20 times in the last 2 minutes, and for me, that's a huge element of being able to sort of break away from a lot of the day-to-day tasks that I have in my business for from an e-commerce perspective. And it's like, whilst we don't have SOPs nailed down particularly well, and one of the things that we're trying to institute in the office and in the business, because we know that stuff's going to expand, it's going to have to we're going to have to get better with the systems, so that when we do bring in other people to help us, that we can basically go watch that video. If you want to figure out how to build a box, or do a Royal Mail delivery, or UPS pickup, just follow those videos and away you go. Is it everything you do, or is it more like written SOPs?
It's a mixture, right? In the years I've been doing this, there've been so many different people I listened to and so many different books that I've read. I ended up confusing myself about what I wanted to do. So for me to actually get any traction in putting systems in place, I have to start super stupidly simple. So the podcast editing thing, the way I figured that out was I recorded myself editing the podcast. As I'm recording it, I'm talking about what I'm doing, why I'm doing it. I think those are the two important things. Yeah. If you're talking about what you're doing and why you're doing, if you hire the right person, which #MySystem allows you to do, little plug there, right? If you hire the right person, then what you tend to find is, when you train them up, and the way I tend to train my guys up, you give them the freedom to make mistakes. And within that freedom to make mistakes, there is that freedom to also think creatively about what they're doing, right? So 8 out of 10 times, they end up doing stuff better than I thought. So I say to them, I'll give you the basic system to do it, but I'm hiring you to do this. I want you to know that right now you may not have the ability, or you may not have my trust to do it, but we're going to work to a point whereby I'm not even going to check your work, because I'm going to believe that you're following the system that we're putting in place. And if you follow it consistently, you will naturally get better, because that's what you do. And that's what I'm tending to find as I go along.
So do you actually have set limitations? Because this is one of the challenges that we have, is whilst you want to give people enough rope to go hang themselves with, you don't want for them to actually hang themselves. You want to give them enough rope so they can actually do the task and actually put their own spin on it, without sort of say, for example, hiring somebody to write articles for you. And it's quite a difficult thing to sort of necessarily outsource my brain and the way that I like to write articles and things like that. But giving somebody the freedom to be able to go and express themselves in something that's a little bit more, it's not black and white kind of thing, in terms of how restricted, you can go to this point and that's it, and there's nothing beyond that. where do you go with that? Because obviously with the podcast and certainly show notes and stuff like that, it's kind of like, do you go, well, it has to fit in one page, or it has to fit in this amount of space?
I give them enough rope to hang themselves, but I'm there to kind of like catch their leg and trim a bit off the rope if they go too far. That would be the easiest way to say it. So as you mentioned, the show notes thing, we have a template, right? I don't put a limit and say this show note has to be only one page, for example. I say this is a template that we work with, right? Within that template, you need to pull out between 10 to 15 talking points. You have to put the contact for the guest. You have to put the contact for the show host. Everything else, it's up to you.
Yeah,
right?
you don't want to micromanage it, do you? Because otherwise you end up going, well, you start marking people's work and putting red lines through shit, and
precisely.
So one thing that it's sort of the realization dawns on you. So social media, right? I loathe doing social media, right? It's just such a ball ache. But then Layla, who's listening to the call, you see her social media, and it's absolutely brilliant. It gets loads of comments. It attracts people. So when I look at social media, okay, so let's say it's $500 a month to hire somebody to do all my social media posts, right? 4 or 5 a day across 4 or 5 different platforms, right? Of all that stuff that goes out there, I only need to get 2 conversions in the month to cover the whole cost of social media. And it's actually knuckling down and working out what's the best strategy, what's going to get you the best bang for bucks. Is that right?
It depends. It depends what you want to do, right? Are you looking to be like Gary Vee on social media, or are you just looking to have an active footprint on social media? Because answering that question will require 2 different tactics, right? So using you as an example, maybe even using me as an example, because what I'm starting to do now is I'm giving the team more freedom, because I realize I need to put myself out there more, inspired by the person stealing my work and charging people for it. I need to put myself out there more and share my ideas more. But it's something that I've struggled with, and the reason I've struggled with it is a little bit of perfectionism and a lot of fear of judgment. But what I discovered 2 weeks ago was, if I don't do it, I don't give a shit. Right? So if I don't post it on the page, it's not that I don't give a shit. If I don't post it on the page, the emotion is not there as much. Perfect case in point, my Facebook page, not the profile. I'm slowly doing work on it. And last week I had Kat, my VA. She's more than a VA now, but I call her VA for everybody else.
What, I had benefits.
No, not that far. I had her change the cover image on the page. I totally forgot I had her do it, because the way we work is I just give them a whole bunch of tasks to do for a week, and they do that as and when they choose, when they get bored. That I find that gives them freedom to jump from stuff to stuff. So it was Tuesday. It was Tuesday, and I saw the big red bubble. Like everybody else, I can't resist that big red bubble. Clicked on it, it's like, ooh, someone likes this thing on your page. I'm like, I haven't done anything on the page. And then I go to the page, I'm like, oh, the image has changed. And I saw the cover image in an entirely new light. Even though I designed it and I gave her the task to do it, I'm like, ooh, that looks kind of good. But I know for a fact, if I posted or if I changed that image, not only would I be sitting there refreshing, waiting to see, right, you need to like it, or like I would upload it in 5 seconds and I'd be like, I don't really like that, just because I uploaded it. So handing off that responsibility for me gives me that freedom. So to circle back to the point I was trying to make, what I'm going to be doing with my team, the system that we're going to be working off of, is going to be like a repurposing model. So I'll put stuff on my personal profile, and when I see what works, that's what goes on the page. In terms of like bigger content and what have you, the stance I'm taking on that is to almost create like a training product, right? So I plan a video, I record that video is going to go on my YouTube channel, which they're going to handle. A transcript of that is then going to be turned into an article, which will go on my website, which is being worked on. And then they're going to take snippets of that to put on Instagram and to put on the Facebook page based on the engagement and what we think will work well. And we just go from there. And while all of this is going on, we're going to be building assets that we can leverage. If you've been following me on Facebook, you probably see like the little scientist cartoon Tega. That's kind of what is driving all the changes and what have you.
I think the stuff to do with like social media is so difficult to know where to go. You use the right example of whether you're like wanting to do the Gary V model, or whether you want to basically just have a footprint on the different platforms. And it's like the Gary V model is so difficult to truly achieve if you want to try and match him, where he's producing literally hundreds of pieces of social media assets from a single video or article or whatever it might be. It's almost impossible to do. And it's like, so the way that we always look at it is I go, okay, we can do as much as we try to do. So if we get a new article written, or if we write a new article, ask Ellie basically to go, right, from that article, we just need 10 social media posts that fit on each of the different channels that we have a presence on. And that's it. And it's like, we then just keep on repurposing those every couple of months. We just rotate them through again. Every now and again, we'll remove some of the old ones which just don't fit anymore, or things like that. And it's just having a system like that in place actually works quite nicely to make sure. So we know that, okay, we've written an article, Ellie knows straight away we need 10 images to go with it. And oh God, dear.
Not an affiliate stuff, right? But what you're talking about is what I got from this. Like everybody else, I was scrolling Facebook one day and saw an ad for it. I'm like, ooh, I need to have an assistant for content. So I picked it up. And looking at it, the way that they've broken that planner down is really, really good, right? So that's the foundation that I'm building my stuff on. I mean, there's bits that I've added and there's bits I've amended to suit my personality. But the whole idea is kind of tying back to what Mark says. It gives you a plan, and it gives you an idea for, this is our content plan for the month. Here's what we're trying to achieve. Here are the topics we're going to talk about. Here's how it's going to be spread out over 30 or 31 days, or 28 if it's February, right? And here's what's going to get posted on each day, right? So whenever you think about it like that, it removes a lot of the strain. You can then look at the big picture and think, right, okay, the theme for this month is, well, the goal for this month is to get people on the email list. The theme for this month is effective email marketing or effective audience management, right? So what articles can I write on that? List them out. What videos can I make on that? List them out. And then from the articles and the videos, you can then decide what micro content is what they call it. So the stuff that you put on other platforms. What micro content can I get from this? List it out. And then in the planner, there's like 30 boxes, and you just pick and choose what goes where. And as you pick and choose what goes where, if you create one, if you follow the repurposing model, you can train the team, if you have one, to then just take that and break up into the different little bits. So the reason my content game is being kind of slow is because I've been trying to figure that stuff out and then train my team, because I've become very lazy. I'm not gonna lie. I want to do the work once, and if it doesn't interest me, I don't want to have to go back and do it again, right? So when I said I like to give my team enough rope to hang themselves, I do the groundwork first before I give them that rope, because doing the groundwork first puts me in a position whereby if there's a mistake that's been made, I can react quickly to fix it. And while I'm reacting quickly to fix it, I can simultaneously use that as a teaching experience for the team to be like, right, here's what you did wrong. Here's why it's wrong. Here's what to do to fix it. Please go fix it. Or I've already fixed it. Look at what I did and use that as an example going forward.
Before we go on, we've got a quick question we need to answer. So we can all give our input into this one.
So Vlad says, hey guys, I've just finished creating a free course for new puppy owners, plus set up a long onboarding sequence, giving loads of value and promoting my monthly subscription product, which is $5 to $7 per month, plus injecting affiliate promos. What a Facebook ad strategy would you recommend to start promoting the course?
So the first thing I would say is I don't know how much the course is, but if at $5 to $7 per month for the membership, the subscription product, yeah, you've not got much to play with in terms of return on investment. So what you need to do is come up with a cheap strategy. So I would recommend the sort of our $1 a day type thing, where you target a massive audience, people who like dogs, okay, and then you run like $1 or $2 against a video, and the people who watch 20 to 30% of that video, then you start to focus on them with content about puppies and stuff like that. So you narrow down your audience to a manageable amount who you can then advertise to. So that's the first thing I'd recommend.
Cool.
Tim?
Yeah, no, for advertising a free course is sometimes it's difficult. Well, it is as difficult to sell a free course as it is to sell a subscription at times. But yeah, you ideally and selling a subscription on the front end as the first thing that they see is sometimes really hard to do, because people don't necessarily like buying into a subscription straight off the bat. It's like they feel like they're being sold something that they have to commit to for a certain period of time, even if that's not the case. People are very apprehensive about signing up for a subscription. Whether you've got something else as well that you can potentially sell on the front end, which is basically promoting. So you've got your free course or whatever it might be that is getting leads. But the front end of getting people to subscribe is probably where you're going to have to do a little bit more work. And that's for me, that's like basically going, here's a 30-day course on training your puppy to do 10 tricks or something like that. And it's like that course is $30, and as well as the $30, you'll get free access to our subscription program for the first 30 days. And then it's, and you're basically, during that 30 days, you're selling them to actually join the subscription full time. Obviously, you've got to be careful with having forced continuity and all that kind of stuff. So don't do that. But it's like sometimes it's easier selling a program with a clear outcome on the front end rather than trying to sell the subscription on the front end, if that makes sense.
Makes complete sense. I haven't got anything to add because I'm not a Facebook ads guy. I do Facebook ads for local, but that's the limit of my experience.
It's almost like my answer is not necessarily a Facebook ad thing. It's a overall strategy as a whole. If in terms of your Facebook ads, what you're probably looking to do is to break even on that front end course as well. So say, for example, if you're selling a front end course for $30, which actually has a desired outcome, potty train your dog in 30 days or whatever it is, so it's an actual proper outcome, and it's $30, and that all you're doing with that $30 is spending more money to get more people to buy that $30 course, because that as people are going through that 30-day course, they're discovering how good you are, and you're selling ultimately the subscription, the longer term subscription, and the outcomes that are important on that.
I mean, one thing you could probably do is do what Donald's doing, and build a Facebook page. So spend $120 building up the Facebook page, and then promote it within the Facebook page once a week or once every 3 or 4 days. That might be a good way of doing it.
Especially with the audience you've got at the minute, because pet owners are rabid buyers.
Yes. Good word, rabid.
No, they're rabbit buyers. Not rabbit, rabbit buyers.
Oh dear. No. I've seen plenty of other people doing it as well. So I think we talked about it years ago, which was the bacon diet. And basically the bacon diet was he only opened it up at certain times a year, and he basically sold it that one-time fee to follow the bacon diet for the next 30 days. And then he's selling something else after you've done the bacon diet. But it's that front end thing was the key bit for him to actually make enough money to then fund the new customer acquisition on the back end of that.
Bacon diet went into selling keto.
Yes.
Okay, selling keto plans. But the hook was you can lose weight by just eating bacon. And that got. I mean, I found out about that from a local radio station here where they interviewed him. So in southern Spain, a local radio station interviewed a Canadian about the bacon diet.
I think it's a great hook. So why not?
I think the key thing, like as I'm learning, is you need to ditch the habit of going for that one-time hit, especially when you're using paid traffic. You need to adopt I'm not going to say a super long-term view, but you need to adopt like a mid to long-term view and realize that anything that you're doing on ads, your goal, as Tim says, should be to break even, right? Because if you can break even on the front end of ads, you're basically getting like future customers for free. When you have the front end sorted out and you have that break even point sorted out, then you can pay attention to what happens now. The bacon diet thing is a good example. Any internet marketer out there right now is a good example. Everybody seems to have adopted this this method of actually, I think it was Dublin Dan that talked about it in his book, Just Sell the Damn Thing. It's like, forget the whole tripwire stuff and everything that was popular however many years ago, and just sell the damn thing. So right now on Facebook, what I'm noticing is it's actually sub $30 products, right? And the way they're selling it is they're selling it as templates, or they're selling it as tools to make your life easy. One I saw just before I came on was like the Lean Content Academy, which is their plan for creating content. Ali Burke, which Mark has talked about before, she follows the same thing. If you've been around long enough, you'll know that this stuff happens in cycles, right? We're now going into the cycle of like the small priced front end product. The smaller price, the better, because what that does is that encourages more buyers, which means that you increase your chances of either breaking even and making a small profit on the front end. But everybody's still focusing on what happens on the back end after you get that customer. So you just need to take that mentality.
It's one of the plans. So at the moment, I'm running some traffic to the 5K method, which goes into free course, story sequence, sell the main course. Okay, I've also got sat on the back burner bidding on small lists, but that's going to be a paid course at the front end, and then later on, let's say 30 days later, when they've gone through that course, start getting results, then okay, you think you know it all now. No, you don't. Here's the secret sauce. Here's what takes it to the next level. So it's going to be typical funnel where, let's get people in the door who are willing to pay for stuff, and then I can compare the two sets of results over time.
It's like for me, it's like subscriptions. Like it's a great model, no matter what whatever industry you're in, whatever products that you're selling. For us, it's like the subscriptions is the lifeblood of my business, and it's like. I sent out an email earlier today. My phone's been buzzing off the hook, like as we've been going through this today, because I sent an email out to people who weren't subscribers, and I just made them a very simple offer, very simple email offer. And it's just reminding people that it's there. They're already buyers. They're already people who know and love our products. It's just that they hadn't quite. I obviously haven't sold well enough through the systems that we have. We haven't sold the benefits of the subscription, or that they haven't noticed that we have a subscription offer that's available. And like today, it's been going crazy because I decided to send an email to people specifically about subscriptions. And sometimes it can be as easy as that. The more you can do to get more people onto those subscriptions, like the more sustainable the long term, medium and long term your business is, like Tega was saying.
Yeah, right. And that's where Tega is.
Tega, the boss.
Boss. No. No.
Thanks for hopping on, mate. Appreciate that.
It's all good.
We'll get you back on a longer one.
All right, it's all good. Thanks for inviting me. Thanks for entertaining me.
That's what we do.
It's like I'm amused by Tega because he has a certain amount of imposter syndrome, and like everything that he talks about, and it's like, you know, he runs some very successful business, and it's just kind of like, yeah.
You know what the problem?
You jumped on the Ribena call, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
You know what?
Yeah, because I started watching the Ribena call, and I got bored shitless watching him drink a glass of Ribena. The next thing I know, you've been like half an hour chatting about marketing.
The issue is, right, I kind of feel like I haven't done anything because I'm such a likable guy. People give me access to stuff that they may not give to other people, and because I have that access, I don't want to take advantage of that. I don't want to be like the douchebag that's like, ooh, look at what I did for XYZ person. First off, to me, that's a lie. I haven't done shit. They built it. I just went in them like, ooh, here's what you could do better. Here's what you could do better. Here's what you do better. And they do that and they get that result. And I say, cool, that's good for you. That's your result. I need to be over here trying to get my result. Maybe I need to be a little bit more discerning in choosing what I get to put out there, stuff that has done. I mean, I talked about the podcast stuff. That genuinely shocked me. The fact that these guys didn't have a podcast. I took my system, I trained their team who had no idea how to edit audio or what the hell. I'm not going to say they didn't know what a podcast was. They knew what it was. But the inner workings of a podcast, they didn't know. To the point whereby a couple years later, they've got over 100,000 downloads, 147,993.
7 more. No, I think my point is that we all have that imposter syndrome, and it's like when people ask me what I do for a living, I joke. I say I'm a drug dealer. At some point in the future, I am. At some point, I might actually turn into a real business owner, and that's my aspiration. And I've been doing this for 15 years. So yeah, I'm ribbing you slightly because I know that we're all like this to a certain degree. But it's like you don't know the power of what you've got, Tega, because it's when you start talking to other businesses and you're going, well, why are you not doing this, and this, and that sets them free. That sets them on a path to a completely different journey to like massive success. And it's like never diminish that. Like, we'll just do that, and that, because those little things are huge to most other companies who have never been exposed to the things that you've been exposed to over the years.
I hear that.
It's a typical online marketing type thing, because I jump on a coaching call or a client call or a consult, and I look at someone's business. I go, yeah, what you need to do is this, do this, do this. They come back a week later, went, wow, that worked. That covered my coaching for the next 10 years. Well done. Then the next day, I look at my own business and I go, oh shit, what do I do now?
Yeah, sometimes we all need like that, or whoever it is to basically look at your business dispassionately and tell you what to do.
I just send things to Tim so he can ignore it, and then I send it to Dave and he'll get back to me.
To kind of tie back to your drug dealer story, for the longest time, this is the story that my dad told me. For the longest time, when anybody asked him what does Tega do, he's like, I don't know. And then a couple of years ago, anytime they asked him what does Tega do, he's like, oh, he does business stuff. I'm like, oh gee, thanks, Dad. So I'm sitting there a couple of weeks ago trying to decide what to call my YouTube channel. And I just remembered that story. So my YouTube channel is now called Tega Does Business.
Yeah.
Whenever I launch it to the public, that's what it's called. So yeah.
Your dad's got a farm, hasn't he?
Yes, someone else on my email list. My dad does have a farm. We now have a brood of my dad's farm now has a brood of piglets, 20 cows, 10 goats, 2,000 fish, and for the last it's June. What is June? I should know this because my birthday is in a couple of days. It's June 11th. So for the last 11 days, there has been over 1,000 pineapples harvested from the farm and sold. And the whole farm thing is like, it's a point of pride for me. Like I said in that email, no, not pride, inspiration. Because for the longest time, my dad is like, I'm going to start a farm. And then he started a farm and didn't tell anybody. And then I only found out about it like towards the back end of last year. It was like, oh yeah, the farm is doing good. Here's everything we have. And like, when the hell did you do that? And he told me the story of the farm. And then he's added me on the WhatsApp group, and every day I get an update of what's been going on in the farm, and it's just really, really encouraging to see.
It's excellent. And that is a positive note we should finish on. Follow your dreams, they'll come true eventually.
Don't do stuff on Facebook, it'll piss you off.
Right, guys.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah. See you next week or the week after.
All right, bye.